Hello, good afternoon, I should say. It's 12:19 p.m. It is November 23rd, Sunday afternoon, actually. And I just got back home. I had a nice walk to and from the store. It's beautiful outside. The sky is very blue. The trees are very vibrant in color. I had a great time. I really did. So the first message I'm coming up with today is that my name commands respect. Okay, I think a lot of people are acknowledging the fact that after me making all of these videos for the last 10 years, yeah, because this is 2025 and I started this channel in 2015, and I basically have been dealing with this for a very long time in front of everybody, okay, and me not even understanding what I was being persecuted for, and then I come out to find that this was a church related thing and whatever. Another message that's coming to my mind is that my story has a mystical and prophetic feel to it. This is why a lot of people are taking an interest in it. I have to acknowledge that fact too, but I would say that the life of my lives, um, looking back at my past lives based on things like the Bible, like for example, how Jesus took an interest in things like spirituality, things like people, religion, text and stuff like this. This is an indication of me possibly doing this kind of same stuff over and over again. This is my life, I've always been someone who has been devoted into things relating to the divine, as well as making sure that society ran in an ethical manner. Meaning, like, maybe I could not feel like I felt I could control it, but I myself always, abided by a certain line of ethics, and I would not bend to the majority of society's rules because society has been corrupt in pretty much all my lives, okay? So the message I'm getting right now is that yes, companies and government offices got audited, and I was right. And now people are acknowledging the fact that yes, I do understand the ins and outs of my job and then some. Okay. Like I said, I know people have been watching my story unfold since the very beginning, even before I started this channel. I know that people, I'm looking back on this issue and I realized like what blew up on Facebook, which was actually back in 2008 and so on and so forth. So people have been like talking about me, and it took me a while to figure it all out. But now I do. I figured it out. That I'm just a victim of, what they call the burden babies, or they're better known as the Cabbage Patch Kids, or the repopulation type thing. Okay, and it's been going on for quite a long time. I would say when they started making those postcards, they were just kind of putting it out there, but they were actually wanting to tell people, but that was just their clever way of kind of disguising it, letting people know, hey, you get these babies, people bought the babies, and a lot of times they ended up abusing them, using them for farm labor. Some of these people became actors and actresses and stuff like that, but whatever. So now I am starting to understand, how corrupt, my lives, the corruption that has been surrounding my lives, that's plural, the many lives that I've had. And, obviously, society was ignorant back in the biblical times, and it seems as though it is now. And a lot of it has to do with people not really knowing, the definition of things, or certain social rules that should apply. And even though they talk about bringing things back like the Ten Commandments, it seems as though the people who are suggesting this don't even understand what the commandments is. I honestly sometimes think that they do this just to sound like they're being noble or something. But whatever, I'm wanting to turn a new page, and get on with my life. And I'm seeing how things are going to pan out this week. I don't want to have to deal with any more drama, that gets created here in the community or anywhere else. Okay, any sort of BS that people want to sit here and throw at me. I think if anybody does that, it would be very clear that something is mentally wrong with them, especially after I've dealt with all this. Oh, I'm sure that there's people who want to. Okay, because like I said, I know that girl over at Walmart gave me some issues or whatever in her subtle way, and and that was rather recent, right? I did go to Walmart again this morning. Like I said, I'm not in a position right now to change my routine. Like right now, the closest store next to me is Walmart. I could take the bus to go into Oildale, which I like that Walmart a lot. Okay, but see, I also have different needs. Like the Walmart is just like a grocery center in Oildale. Okay. And don't get me wrong, they do sell certain things. Like they do have, they have things like your toiletries that you can purchase, like toilet paper, toothpaste, and stuff like that. Okay. They do have that kind of stuff. But if the full on Walmart, like, is close to my house. Okay. So I just kind of take advantage of, what is convenient for me at the moment. But, I know that I've dealt with, rude behavior before in certain environments. I cannot say that I've dealt with that today, okay? I would say the person who waited on me, did what they needed to do and whatever. I mean, it really is that simple. There's going to be times in your life where you encounter people that come in your line that or you're going to have to wait on or whatever, that you're not going to necessarily. And no, I am not a customer service representative. I'm not somebody who likes customer service, giving out customer service. But there's certain things, like for example, I work in accounting, right? And I understand, like, sometimes you have to answer the phone, or you might have to transfer a call, or you might have to communicate with the person who walks in from the street, or I might have to communicate with a customer to collect their balance or something. So there's a certain way of communication, okay? And there's times where you might have a customer that you don't like. Maybe they have a history, they did something that you personally do not agree with in your life. Like maybe they ran a drug cartel or something, and this blemished their reputation for very many years, okay? And because you don't believe in what this person's lifestyle, which I'm sure nobody would, but I'm sure, just because you don't believe in this person's lifestyle, you choose not to serve them. And you can do that, right? But this is my way of thinking, okay? And I would say that this is the, and I don't like to sit here and Bible thump, okay? But Jesus would have served him. Okay, reason why is because your action could make a difference. If you're really interested in making people, uh, in promoting peace, then you yourself needs to be peaceful. Okay, and when I'm talking about being the better person, yeah, just be the better person. And people need to understand how to communicate professionally without bringing in their personal drama, without sitting here creating sort of tension. Okay, it is your responsibility to serve the customer. I will tell you, just because, like for example, I talked about people who have tattoos, okay? I would not have a tattoo. I remember wanting one when I was a kid, but as an adult, I don't, it's just my personal preference, okay? But if I was to think about it from biblical terms, or some people, because it was taught, it kind of discouraged in the Bible, some people choose not to have it. But what if you come from a culture that tattoos were common? So I believe that those things were cultural for that time, okay? And so, like I said, I myself don't have tattoos, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to wait on customers that have tattoos, or that these people deserve any sort of disrespect. Okay, because really, when you sit here and act, something negative against a person because they don't live the way that you do, that is exactly the foundation of a hate crime. Okay, it's like I feel compelled to mistreat you because you do this, or if these people did something that was immoral, basic based on a spiritual law, okay, then let God deal with it. Okay, if they do something that is breaking the law, that is causing somebody, and they're either causing danger to themselves or other people, then that's where law enforcement comes in. Okay, you don't really have any right to say anything. Okay, you need to worry about your life. Okay, and that's how it's supposed to be. This is how peace really works. Okay, and if you're somebody who feels like you just can't control it, maybe you need to get in some sort of group therapy and talk about the things that makes you unhappy about your life and focus on correcting it. And yeah, it really is that simple. Okay, you do not sit here and act like some ravenous animal, tearing at people, throwing people's names out, trying to create problems for them. Okay, because like we all know now that that kind of activity is a form of gang stalking, and then you're going to conspire against another person, and so on and so forth down the line. Okay, and this is the basis. This is how human trafficking works. So now you understand human trafficking is perpetuated by stalking behavior. Okay, so that means if somebody gives a message to the door greeter at Walmart, and the door greeter at Walmart treats me a little differently, right? Because of the conversation that he had with whatever in his weird little cult group, or somebody put a bug in his ear, he is participating in stalking. Therefore, it's a form of gang stalking. Why? Because this person is trying to create some form of continued harassment on behalf of another person. Now you should know. Okay. Now, the intuitive message I'm getting right now from the community is that yes, people recognize the mystical and prophetic feel to my story. Okay, and it does attract a lot of people's attention. My mind is blown about it too. Okay, but it tells me a lot about how um a lot about human nature. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've been studying humans for a long time, but like this right here is a very deep story. It is a very deep story. Okay, it's a lot. There's a mind control that has continued on till this very day from the programs like MK Ultra or MK Ultra related type programs. And this is what it is, okay? In order for people to bring in burden babies and people to, make this whole issue work to orchestrate a person and design so or a person gets isolated or a person has to have live with a certain reputation or whatever that takes people to it's comprised of people being able to create a lie and to deceive other people and continue that lie by other deceptive methods. Okay, so anytime you have a foundation that's built on a lie like that, I'm going to tell you it's only going to corrupt everything around it. And see, this is what we have today. We have people who want to disrespect people who were born in a such circumstance beyond their control. Because I will tell you, I killed myself in 1956. Okay, so all of this right here is the mastermind of people like Joseph Mengele who wanted to see an experiment by putting giving me this particular birth mother and all this other stuff, and then I ended up living with the Gordon people and the kids of the 533. Okay, and this is where we are today. Okay, so the kids at 533 were raised around me, and they were influenced by the Mormon kids and I call them the Palladian kids, okay, because there was a lot of blonde hair, blue eye type kid looking kids who just so happened to be LDS members, stuff like that. So we were lived in a predominantly white neighborhood, and they wanted to fit in, okay. So if bullying with Maria was what got them, their little foot in the in crowd, well then so be it, okay. So this is where the scapegoating comes in, okay, that we can talk about when it relates to the Bible. So I am basically throughout all my lives, I have been a righteous, moral person. That's not me bragging. It's just me saying, I've done because I'm angelic. That's why, okay? I'm angelic, and I am here to teach mankind how to survive, to thrive. Okay, so now people are starting to talk about my taste in music and why it makes sense that I would like what I like. Okay, I can't even, okay, to me, I know there. Okay, when you think about music genres, I think music is usually, it's set apart with different titles or explained in different ways like R&B, we have country, we have pop, we have whatever. And it's like, well, I look at some of the musicians from back in history, and a lot of these songs, like for example, have been taken. Like for example, R&B song has been converted to country songs. Country songs have been converted to R&B songs. This has been something that's gone on throughout history, but I don't really think about it. To me, it's just like if I like the lyrics of it, the sound of it, especially the music instruments, the pieces within it. Sometimes, like I said, it's a very powerful thing. I've never seriously, it never occurred to me to ever think that, oh, this is a white song, or I shouldn't like this because I don't think so. I think most people have a lot of music is written based on human experiences, human emotions, stuff like love, heartache, dealing with betrayal, that kind of stuff. I think that's universal, okay? But I do have to say, there's certain sounds that are very indicative of other people's races, okay? Like for example, when I hear steel guitars, I do associate that with white people, okay? I associate it with we're white, but that doesn't mean that if I hear it, I'm supposed to just freak out and like run up to the radio and turn it off and like be up, and talk about how much I hate them, and it doesn't, just because I could like white music, but that doesn't mean I like some of the things that they've done to me. To me, it's like I keep the song and the music completely separate. You know what I mean? I don't associate it with anything like that. But anyway, um, what else do you want to talk about? Okay, so yeah, my son did pay me my money back. Okay, and I know that um, I get the intuitive message, and he's not going to tell me about it. But like I said, I'm not really comfortable with the community or anybody ever trying to influence this sort of negativity in my home ever again. Okay, and I'm going to be very clear about this. Okay, all of these people did where they were trying to conspire against me to ruin my life, and they were operating through people such as my own son to do things to betray me, and I don't appreciate it. Okay, what you did is, it's important that I never have those sort of doubts about my son or associate my son with any of your illegal activity or any of your threatening activity. And the message that's coming to my mind is something about people did it because I did not have a man in my life. Okay. Once again, that's none of your business. That is none of your business. Okay. What you did was highly offensive to me, and you people, I'm under no obligation to explain my situation to you whatsoever. This is why I'm talking about people need to understand that some people are mind your own business, okay? Like you're looking at me and you're looking at my life and you think, okay, she doesn't have a man. What makes you think if let me handle my own problems? Okay? I'm responsible for me. You're responsible for you. Okay? You don't tell us how to manage our money. You don't tell us what to do with our money. Okay? I'm very angry about the mastermind or the fool who created this issue. And I get the intuitive message that it was some sort of Christian plot. Okay? You were basically trying to create division in my home and you had no right to. Okay? And just because no, it's not me. You act as if my independence from men is some sort of act of defiance. No, it is not. Okay, my independence from men is a survival tactic. Okay, the message I'm getting right now has something to do with Gordon's occupational engineering attracting customers. You know what? Then I'm going to look at what you did as a form of retaliation. Like I said, it needs to stop, and it's going to stop now. Okay, I don't want to have any, do not act out any more crap through my son. Do you understand? Okay, this is ending now. Just like I don't want to have to deal with any more of your little Walmart freaks or your weirdos coming up to me and talking to me or saying anything. It ends now. Okay, what you're doing is like it's devastating. It's like, how dare you try to bring your influence into my house and create some sort of division? I do not appreciate it. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is I am acknowledged and praised in all phase. Okay, also other leaders who world leaders who are also burden babies who have now grown up and become leaders or celebrities or whatever, they are now being able to take their lives back, and that Christianity is taking a seat, and I'm glad. Okay, I don't know what in the world what you guys were trying to do was basically overthrow the government is what you were trying to do. Okay, and I'm not happy about it. So the message I'm getting is right as of November 2025. What these people are thinking of me is that I will always walk with my career first, and men will never play a role in my projects. And this is what they were thinking, you know. And it's like, well, so what? You're going to sit here and try to penalize somebody for that? And they message something about Gordon's occupational engineering, and that what? Like I said, that's none of your business. What you need to understand is that my son goes to work so that he can make a living. Okay, that's what he goes to work for. Okay, he provides a service and he should get paid for it. End of discussion. Same thing with me. This is why I cannot stand dealing with some of these Bakersfield employers, because they really just cannot seem to get it right. Okay. But all I know is that these people have placed me in a financial situation that I didn't ask to be placed in, nor did they have a right to put me in. Okay. Then they tried to force me on food stamps. Okay. And then, the little bit of money that I do have, I let my son borrow. And then I expect my money back when I ask him for it. Why? Because, I understand there's times when he may not have gas, or I let him have it. Okay. And I don't need people telling him, oh, well, don't give it back to her, because they don't want me to sit here and buy stuff that I need to buy. That is none of your business. Okay, none of your business. Okay, and I don't know if this was something encouraged by maybe the Collins family or whatever. Let me tell you something. You are nothing but a nightmare to me. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is I have every right to indulge in spending and acquire material goods if I want to. So what these people do is they try to affect my life. They try to affect. If I gave my son let my son borrow money, right? Then he's supposed to pay it back. And say somebody's like, oh, I don't want her to go out into the dollar store, so don't give her the money back. Or she's going to get a job, so it's still his responsibility to pay it back. And your mentality is scary to me, okay? And it's just outright ignorant. You know what I mean? And as far as my Gordon's occupational engineering, that has nothing to do with you at all. Okay, the intuitive message I'm getting right now is because there are some people who are upset and jealous about it. Like I said, You need to put it into it right now. Okay, whatever it is, if this is the Collins family or it's the whatever, like I said, I made a point not to have you in my life in the first place. Okay, I remember telling my mom and my sister, I don't want to get married to Bruce. Okay, why? Because drama. You know what I mean? He's not going to sit here and accept me as a human being. His family's not going to accept my son as a human being. They're going to do, they're going to be very racist. Sure enough, this is what happened. Okay, sure enough, this is what happened. So he married Sarah. That's his spouse, and that's who he's supposed to be taking care of if they're still alive or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Okay, you stay the hell out of my house. You and your influence stay the hell out of my house. Okay. Um, and the message I'm getting is that my son's boss does support us. Okay, so then this must be coming from some sort of Collins or some Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever. Okay, and like I said, there's reasons why a woman might have to be able to support herself. Okay, and it's not for a community to sit here and try to back her into a corner and demand explanations. The other message I'm getting is about me being correct that I'm over the age of 18 years old. Let me tell you something. Collins family, other people who are related, and Jehovah's Witnesses, and all these other people. You stay the hell out of my business. Okay, you make sure that all of your notations are off of all my data banks. Okay, and I already made this request to my soul tribe. Okay, I want nothing to do with this. I don't want. I made a point not to have this drama in my life. Okay, and you sit here and you try to inflict it on me anyway. No, I don't need to sit here and have to rely on a man to support my projects. Okay, and I don't know why you think that it's none of your business. You stay out of it from now on. Okay, and you do not bring. Um, and the other message I'm getting right now is that something about Putin releasing his feelings for me in with the press, and so then you felt as though it was your responsibility to try to prevent me from spending money. See, this is what I'm talking about. See, people who want to retaliate when it's not your place. Okay, what goes on in me and my son's house and how we deal with our own money or how we deal with it is none of your business. You think that you can sit here and interject yourself into my stuff, and I made a point of never having anything to do with you. Okay, when I found out that Bruce was around or whatever, and I let Bruce come around after a certain amount of time, I stayed out of the relationship. Okay, I don't want you thinking in your mind that you have any say over my life. Okay, you get out and you stay out. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that my son is thinking about me. He's not saying anything. He's very happy that I stood up for ourselves. I don't know what else I can tell you. It's like, I'm tired of this people thinking. So, and what is it about Gordon's occupational engineering? It's my company. So what about it? Something about, um, okay, something about Putin and me being recognized as being divine. I guess it's funny. Like when I was the girl in Lancaster that people were talking shit about, right? That it was all orchestrated. Like I was supposed to be set up to sit here and deal with community harassment and abuse and their little whatever. I wasn't good enough for these people, right? I was not good enough for these people. But now all of a sudden they want to sit here and fight over the things that I have. They want to sit here and no, it is not the way that's not how it's going to work. Okay. I don't like you. So it's over and stay out of my life. Okay. The other message I'm getting is, okay, clone leaders are now on top. Christians are taking a seat back, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad. This country was never meant to work to operate on anything religious. Going forward, like I said, I told my son if I let him borrow money, I expect him to pay it back when it needs to get paid back on time. Okay, it is not debatable. It is not goodness. It should not be discussed with anybody other than us. You really, I don't want any of your influence. And as far as Gordon's occupational engineering, yes, it is my company. The intuitive message I'm getting is, oh yeah, okay, so yeah, I was being retaliated against, okay? So my son does not want to get involved in it. He doesn't want to talk about it, okay? I don't like having tension in my home, okay, that you guys decided to create. Okay, you do not sit here and ask my son to keep secrets for you, to spy for you, to do any of that sort of stuff. Okay, and yeah, I'm aware of what you guys did. Okay, and I am not happy about it. And no, I think what you guys were trying to do is trying to force me into accepting Bruce back or whatever. No, Bruce was never worthy of me. Yes, and I'm glad that Gordon's occupation. And you guys want to know what I'm thinking? On I don't know. Yeah, I haven't met uh, Vladimir Putin yet. I must have met him in a past life, a past life. But I recognize him. You know what I mean? I recognize him, and I feel very happy when I think about him. Okay. But anyway, yeah, I don't want any more of this sort of influence coming into my house. Okay. I don't want people conspiring against me. I don't want people asking me to do stuff against my son, and I don't want people asking my son to do stuff against me. Okay. We are a family. Okay. This is my son. Okay. And what you did, you guys do not know how to do. You guys don't understand ethics. You don't understand how to behave. And I know the people I'm addressing directly. I understand you guys have a lot out for me. Like, you guys do not like me at all. I get it. Okay, but I don't have any reason to like you. And just because you know what the thing is, really, it's unfortunate that your work, the employment sector, is so political. Meaning, like, let's bring our work life. I mean, our work life is entangled with so-called family dynamics and stuff like that. This is why it's illegal, and I cannot stand it. Okay, so I'm gonna forget you guys and act as if you guys do not exist, because that's the best thing for me. Okay, do not sit here and try to have my son operate and try to manipulate him and abuse him in any way. I'm so tired of what you're doing. Okay, because that's exactly what I look at it as. Okay, my son's 32 years old. He should be out doing the things that he wants to do. Okay, not being your stupid puppet. Okay, and yeah, I understand it. I know what I'm saying is people are getting very upset about it, but at the same time, it's time for me to move on. You know, and I know deep down inside the Collins family, if they're still alive or whatever, they know good and right well that I'm right, because they know that I'm right because I made a good decision not to marry Bruce. I made a good decision not to marry Bruce. Okay, and my only thing is that I wish that I should have reported him to collect child support. That's what I'm saying, because I mean, not that I wanted to, okay, but I'm just saying is it would have been the right thing to do, okay? Somehow or another, Bruce feels like he's entitled to my stuff, and he's not. He's not. His family's not either, okay? But what they are fascinated by, this group is fascinated by, is the fact that the story has a mystical and prophetic feel to it. So therefore, now I'm being recognized for who I really am, and now, just like any other clout chaser, they want to be associated with that. Like I said, that's a joke, okay? And so now I'm going to forget about these people like they don't exist. Okay. And that's for my own well being. Okay. As far as the community trying to take sides against it, I'm not going to be nice anymore. Like, if I see anybody trying to create any problems for me, I will embarrass you in front of everybody. That means if I'm at Walmart and you decide to go get a little frappuccino and I feel as though you're being rude to me, I will verbally attack you. And I don't care how much I make you cry or how stupid I make you look in public. Okay. I'm done with your crap. Done with it. Okay. Now, I'm a person who deserves to be treated with respect. I treat everyone else with respect. It is what it is. Okay. This is not how you go through life. Just because somebody might have something that you want, or maybe you feel like you want to do something similar, then go do something similar. Figure out your greatness, where you're supposed to be at. Okay. You don't do this sort of stuff. Okay. I'm addressing these people because I know that they're very ignorant. Okay. And I understand these people look at you, like I said, I am not a part of your competition. Do not ever entangle my life or try to slow my life down because of you. Okay. I don't want to have anything to do with you. That goes for everyone in this community. Like, for example, I was just thinking, okay, if that check's being held up at the bank because of you guys, you better fix it. Okay. And like I said, I shouted out to my soul tribe. I want you guys to look into this because I don't trust these people. Okay, and yes, they will do that sort of stuff. Okay, like I said, that's a very long hold for like December 3rd to release my funds. So wait, they were trying to hold my funds by, like, for example, telling my son not to pay me the money back, and then hold my check for this particular long time. I'm tired of your stuff. It doesn't matter how much you play with my money. I'm not going to want you. Okay, and the very fact that you're using manipulative tactics to try to control me makes me hate you even more, which tells me that you are nothing but abusive to this very day. So stay the hell away from me. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that my son is thinking about me, and he feels as though I get the feeling he might hear me downstairs, and he knows what I'm talking about, and that's why I'm saying the truth. Okay, so we're just washing our hands of whatever drama that you're having, because I'm tired of it. Stop trying to abuse people and using other, and that's what you're doing. And see, you might be doing this because other people are telling you how to do this, or maybe this is how you've been dealing with. Like maybe you come from a family or generational family where people get manipulated in this manner. Okay, but there are laws on the books to protect me from that. Okay, and I recognize it as abuse. I recognized your Bruce as abusive when we were dating. Okay, that's why when I got pregnant, I didn't marry him. And the message I'm getting right now, the card reading that I provided are consistent among the Soul Tribe. And many of you guys are believers of the readings that you had because you guys got the underground crime syndicate. You probably figured out where you were born. You probably figured out, what you did in your past lives for your occupation. Yeah, so I mean, I've been having a lot of fun creating those things, and I think what people are, they want to identify themselves with my work, okay? And it's time for me to move on. It's time for me to forget the people who abused me, and the people who abused me would be the Collins group, as well as yes, and I'm going to say that you did, and I'm very offended by what you did, and I'm very threatened by what you did, and I cannot forgive it. Okay, I don't want to see any more of. I know I saw some Jehovah's Witnesses a couple weeks ago or something like that. Stop it. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is that Terry Collins doesn't understand that I'm more intelligent than so-called, more educated than college people, and that yes, I do have this. My life is a prophetic thing. Okay. It's like I came here understanding that I wanted a relationship with the divine. I rejected organized religion because I didn't feel as though it lived up to the standards. Okay. I've always had high moral standards. I've always wanted to walk alongside the divine. That's all I want. Okay. And it's been that way since a kid. Okay. And so that obviously does make people, I don't see it. Like, I don't see newsreels about me, but I get the intuitive message that they're probably there. And so people want to sit here and like suddenly act as if, oh, we're a part of you and all this other, the only thing that you did to me is abuse me. Okay. So I don't really want to, and also they're acknowledging the fact that I'm acknowledged in the Masonic temples. Okay. Yes, the Masonic temples always knew that I was divine. They always knew that I was the Savior, that I was the Messiah. Okay, but the churches, see, this is what I'm saying. A lot of the churches were derived from the Masonic temples, meaning like members of the Masonic temples created their own churches. Okay, so obviously this is like bloodline type thing going on, and so this is why you see Masons kind of like doing stuff like this. You'll see certain groups of people doing this kind of stuff. It's because they know the secret. The secret is that I'm the Messiah. And that's the truth. Okay. So I want to make that clear. I want to see, I want to see things get better because I'm tired of it. The intuitive messages right now, my son's downstairs right now. He's thinking about me. He's acknowledging the fact, I'm just kind of like figuring out what he's thinking. He's acknowledging the fact that, that I've dealt with competitors, and these competitors were people who were associated with the Collins family as well as my previous employers, and they wrapped this up in trying to put pressure on my son. Okay, that is not acceptable to me, and I understand my story is big, meaning like it's a big one because this is a spiritual story. Okay, and it's a very interesting story to a lot of people. Okay, and I get it. Okay, and the only part that these people play in my life is that I was abused by these people, and that's it. The message I'm getting right now is that I'm getting credit for all my work. Okay, they wanted to get some credit for my work. See, and I'm angry with it by the fact that you even had your hands on my work in the first place. Okay, everything is my creation, and that you damn right it is. You damn right it is. Okay. When I lived in Lancaster growing up, I realized like that town just did not treat me well. And so I moved down here, and then I realized that you guys have now followed me and stuff like that, but I wanted, I deserve to be among people that I want to be around. Okay. And I want to be around people who accept me for who I am. And you might say, oh, we accept you for you. If you continue to abuse me. Okay. You continue to abuse me because this is what you know. And your little manipulative tricks trying to stop this and try to prevent that and try to dictate who I see. You are willing for me to sacrifice things that I choose to have in my life so that you can be happy. Okay. And see, this seems to be the mentality of a lot of Christian people, because my sister Tanya had the same mentality. Okay. No one owes you anything in this world. No one does. Okay. So get out of my life and stay out of my life. And I need to move on and I need to forget you. Okay. I need to forget you. The message I'm getting right now is that I'm looking forward to getting back to work. Now, I don't know what's going on with that check. Hopefully, they'll take care of it. Maybe if I talk to, I'm pretty sure I'm going to talk to the girl that I spoke to last week, and I might just suggest to her if she wants to get suggestions. I'm not going to suggest anything, but if she does, maybe she can call over to her bank and then have them verify the funds or whatever to speed it up. I just don't want to have to deal with this anymore. Okay, I'm tired of people doing things deviating from their company policy because they're trying to act like their organized crime is some sort of righteous thing. Okay, it's not. Okay, when I walked away from the Collins family, I understood like the Collins family, they ripped me off. They wanted me to act. They wanted to believe that I had no value, that I was nothing, that I was blah 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 blah. When in fact I was dealing with a lot of community harassment growing up there. I was misunderstood. All of these things. I just did not feel very happy at that time in my life. Okay. And so it is. It's just something I need to move on from. Okay. And what you've done is you've abused my son and caused mental problems for my son because of your selfishness. Okay. Do not ask him to do anything else again. Okay. Something about because of my relationship with Putin. Like I said, why would Putin is cute? Okay. Like, why would I want Bruce when I can have I'm just kidding you, but I'm not really kidding. Okay, I'm telling you the truth. Okay, I mean, and besides that, he's over there and I'm over here. Okay, but I'm just saying is like, of course, I mean, that's a no brainer. Okay. The other message I'm getting is whatever I want, I get, of course. Okay, and I understand what this is. Is it's always been about people wanting to challenge me because I'm somebody who is very focused. I'm here for what I need to take care of. And then you get people who are very insecure and they get attracted to this and they want to challenge you. Okay. And like I said, I understand that they don't have a right to do it. And then I stand up for myself and then I continue to move on. And they're like, whatever you want, you get. It's like you shouldn't have been causing me the problems in the first place. I'm glad to see Christianity take its place. Okay, now as I was walking today, I noticed that the Mormons are like in the church today, and I was like, okay, that's cool. I think they should continue their services. I also, and then something about, now that I just mentioned the Mormons, something about me. Yes, the Mormons were also responsible for trying to subject me about my age. I'm over the age of 18. You guys clean your data banks, clean it up now. Okay. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm willing. You guys can have your church services. You can do your whatever. You do not interfere with my life. Okay. And yeah, I'm not going to have a man in my life. Okay. I'm not gonna, I'm see what you do is you cause the misery in so many of these marriages. You know why? Because I know I'm getting a lot of anger, from what I'm saying right now. But you've created so much misery with your design, okay? And then you enforce it, and then you inflict it on other people. Okay, you have destroyed so many lives with your inability to do things right. I do get the intuitive message, like I said. Yeah, that's nice that my son's, supports me or whatever, or my son's boss supports me or something. See, this is what I'm saying is I don't like manipulation. I don't like abuse of any kind, and that's what it is. And I'm a single woman, and it is what it is. Okay, it is what it is. I'm not going to put myself in the front line of abuse. Okay, so I hope this is the end of the discussion, and I do not want to have it ever again. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that I think I made myself clear. They do understand that I am not somebody. I'm not. I'm here for strictly for survival reasons. Now I do plan on meeting Putin, and if Putin and I get off, whether we're going to be friends or something more than that, I'm willing to do whatever. I'm just very grateful that we can be together in this life, okay, and enjoy each other's company. The intuitive message I'm getting is everyone is amazed at my story, and then also something about many employees will be losing their jobs at Valley Strong Credit Union. Oh well, I would tell you what, my funds better be available when it's supposed to be. Okay, I don't want anybody ever trying to abuse me anymore. Anyway, okay, and I also want it to be known that that they do need to make sure that this sort of stuff does not happen in customer service in different industries. And I am working on my video, and I feel as though it's important. I don't care if people don't like that. I don't. Throughout my lives, I have come to understand that even though I consider I'm a righteous person, especially compared to these people, these criminals, right? But I'm constantly having to defend myself against immoral people, and people know they don't have any right to sit here and strike and cause me any of these problems. Okay, but I am washing my hands of my past. When it comes to the Mormon Church, I think it's great that they are back in their little church and stuff like that. I hope that they better themselves. Meaning like they focus on having a better life, and maybe not make their marriages so oppressive. You know what I mean? To where people feel so unhappy and then they sit there and bully up on other people. The intuitive message I'm getting is that the divine is providing for me to have for things to work out for me. And I hope so. Okay. I think that throughout my entire lives, I have dealt with your bullying. I have dealt with your indirect bullying, your influence of bringing, or your ability to bring your negative influence into my home, whether that be through my siblings back in the days where they were influenced by the Palladian kids, or you're sitting here doing it with my son. Okay. I have felt you. Remember, I had talked about when I was in grade school, I would be sitting in class and everything would be fine. And then I would get this feeling in my solar plexus like, you guys are going to bully me or I'm going to get bullied again. Okay. I felt your negativity all my life. So I don't want to feel it anymore. Okay. Now it should be understood that this country is not run by religion. Okay. And you don't have the right to sit here and make people get bullied or make their life an absolute hell or create division within my family. See, as a setup of this stupid mind control program, you've made it so that where I've had division in all of my relationships. Okay, and see what these people do, what your ignorance of does is it make I don't want to ever look at my son like he could be a part of your nonsense. Okay, just like my family betrayed me, you're trying to make my son do the same thing to me. Okay, and I don't appreciate what you're doing. What you're doing is corrupt, and what you are is evil. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that yes, the Bible covers many of my incarnations, and yes, Jesus is included. Yeah, I'm the Savior. For real, for real. Anyway, so I want to talk about something else other than that. Today I decided to wear my little um, mustard colored turtleneck, and I wore a pair of brown pants. And I was kind of debating, as to what jacket I was going to wear. I wasn't really sure, but I knew that I was thinking about how throughout my life, I've dealt with this group of people who have done nothing but made me very unhappy. I've been very unhappy with this group of people. Very unhappy. Okay. And all I've really wanted to do, like, I moved from Lancaster just to Bakersfield, small distance, but I think that should have been enough to make it very clear that I didn't want to have to relive any of that. Okay, and then I had these people who were just continually bullying me, trying to force me back, or trying to make me, just it is what it is. You know what I mean? And I need to be around people who I feel I can relate to. And I think that Putin and I will be good friends. I really do. And I'm never going to push any pressure on him. I want to have a good time with him. I really do. I want to have a good time with him. I want to see if I can make him laugh till he cries. I just want to see what I want to see what he's like, and I want to enjoy that time with him. You know what I mean? I feel as though throughout my incarnations, I have dealt with just unnecessary garbage from demonic people. And why do I say demonic people? Because I've been here in the United States as CB Berganza, and I've dealt with literally moving from one state to another throughout my entire lives because I was being bullied by these church people. You know what I mean? And it's like this man, poor CB, and then because he didn't want to indulge in false religion, then he ended up having to be, come back again as Maria Gordy, and they were trying to basically force him into being in some sort of marriage. And yes, this was their thing. This is why they created me to be a woman, okay? And now these Mormon people might be a little resentful that it didn't work. I'm disturbed by what these people have done. Really. Okay. But yeah, and I guess the Mormons do understand that I am interested in hanging out with Putin. They also understand that the Mormons, I don't know, they might have had something to do with the government shutdown with all these people. They could have been a part of the group too. I know a lot of different religious people got involved in it. Okay. Um, Mind your own business. That's all I can say. Worry about your flock. Worry about your flock uh, developing a better moral system. Work on personal self satisfaction. And yes, I think some Christians they act as if self satisfaction is a bad thing. Okay. I would say it is if it's at the detriment of certain things. Like, for example, you want to have a luxury car, but you can't pay your rent. I mean, that kind of stuff is ridiculous. If you're able to pay for those things, why not? Why not? You know what I mean? I don't think of myself as even that is somebody who is really that over the top. Meaning, like, all the things that I have are usually bought from discount stores. I go to the thrift store, I make them, I do whatever. I will tell you, especially the life platform that these religions have set for people, like the kind of life that you guys try to force other people into, they don't have any reason to live. They don't have any reason to live. So they'll find something that they feel like gives them life and makes them feel a little bit happy. And then you want to tear that away from them too. I will tell you that when I think about the little religion that you guys try to enforce on me, you remind me of a demon. That's exactly what you remind me of. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that people believe that I should be proud to be authentic. I'm glad. Because if it wasn't for me coming up and telling you all this stuff, people would still be, dealing with a lot of clones would still be suffering with being in abusive families and just having to suck it up or whatever. You know what I mean? No, it's wrong. And what you guys have been doing is just outright abusive, and it's shocking. And so this is why I'm saying, if you are a clone, you need to make sure, and if your family is abusive to you, you need to get away from them. And I understand there's a press conference getting on right now, and people are talking about how I'm influencing Putin, and apparently Putin likes dance now. I'd love to see Putin dance. That'd be so cute. What else? Something about me having luxuries. I think that's funny. Like, see, if Mormons, for example, okay, are sitting here persecuting people for going to the dollar store, you really do represent something that's hellish. Now, I wish your new congregation, like you guys getting together and gathering, I wish you the best. I really do, and I kid you not. I want you guys to have a good time in your religion, your services. I want you guys to feel good about your life. Is really what I want you to feel good about, because that way you will not be sitting here nitpicking everyone else's life. Okay. Now, what else am I getting? Something about my father's apparition. What about it? And something about my son's boss, my boss's, no, yeah, my son's boss and my son's apparition. Something about their apparition. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. You guys like you like my father's apparition. I guess it's a confirmation that there's life after death. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But I don't have control over it. Like, I don't know. Apparently people can see it, and I think it must be seen on camera only. Like I said, I don't know if I don't have the ability to know when, like, the apparition of James Gordon is walking alongside of me or not. I just know that my father's spirit is very protective of me. You know what I mean? And I know that, I've had contact with uh, him in throughout the years. I had mentioned seeing him in the snow on a television a couple of times. So yeah, he's very protective of me, and considering the fact that I was a target of all these crazy rumors and this sort of manipulation, these people were out here ruining my life. My father could probably see that, right? So he wanted to protect me. It makes total sense, you know what I mean? Because you guys did the same thing to my father, and then you do you honestly think that I'd want to see any of your faces? I mean, you got to understand what you do, and see, maybe by me talking to you about what you've done, maybe you guys will understand. Okay, because you guys did some pretty bad stuff. Okay, that affected the medical industry. I do believe that my father's death was a result of what you guys did collectively. You know, and what you guys, the manipulation that you use in order to keep members, it's not right. It's not right. Okay. I mean, people should serve the divine with free will. It's more sacred that way. It only matters that way. It only matters that way. I will tell you, nobody needs to put a gun to my head for me to feel this connection that I have, and it just is. And some people have that desire. So that's the difference between spirituality and religion. But I understand that this particular flock over there on this particular street that I was walking towards, the Walmart, I see that there was a bunch of cars and trucks today, and I thought, okay, well, they're meeting again regularly, and that's good. You know what I mean? As long as you're not sitting here bothering my life, that's good. And the message I'm getting right now is something about failure to all competitives. Yeah, I'm not interested in competing with you ever again. And then you guys must be discussing my projects. Yes, I'm 100% they're my creations. I'm a woman all by myself. And something about my SNAP benefits. You know what I mean? Something about the failure of, yeah, all of that. I cannot believe how evil you guys are. You guys are evil. Okay. And something about me being very much wanted in the professional arena because of my skills. Okay. Because I know that they know that I'm going to get the job done right. Okay. Yes. Mormons, let's have peace. Okay. Let's have peace. I don't want to compete with you. I want to just forget all of this. Okay. You've been on making my life a living hell for like, 2 lives at least. Okay. And maybe even longer than that. But that's it. Okay. Now, I do think that perhaps maybe I talked about different religious groups in the Bible, and you may be the modern day Church of Latter day Saints. You guys may have been another name back in the times of Jesus or something. It could possibly be. But I will tell you, you're on the wrong path. Okay, when you think that you can take spirituality, use manipulation and stuff like that, absolutely not. I am not going to sit here and just let people hand over my creations to somebody just because of you thinking that that's okay to do. It's not. Okay, I deserve that. Now I have decided to, if if when Putin gets down here, I do believe I'm going to be meeting him at some point. In the United States, he and I will talk more about that. Okay, but I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with my work. I will. Okay, my son's thinking about me at the moment. Something about there's a lot of competition, and because yes, this is a big story. This is a very big story. Okay, like people are like, wow, because of me revealing all of this stuff and me talking about, the human trafficking, the burden babies, how this United States was basically trying to enslave these burden babies by, having these so-called Christians trying to overthrow the government and all of this other stuff. And then trying to force, yes, by sitting here trying to take away my accomplishments and giving it to a man or something for just that reason, okay? That's slavery. Like I am a human being and I don't deserve my own credit to my own stuff. See, you Mormons need to think straight. And the intuitive message I'm getting is something about Vladimir wants to visit the U.S. Good. Okay, so if Vladimir Putin and I decide to go into business together or something, then we will go into business together. Then we will. That's what we'll do. Okay. And then if we work on certain projects together, then I guess it's a Putin Gordon collaboration or something. I mean, that's just how it is. You know what I mean? I don't know what else you're trying to think. I'm not going to sit here marry Vladimir Putin unless, of course, we feel like we want to do that. And it's mind your own business, please. The intuitive message I'm getting is you are at peace with all religions. Good. Okay. The last thing I want to have to worry about is the Mormons. Okay. So you guys need to just knock it off. Okay. I don't know exactly what religion Vladimir Putin is. I know he comes from a Christian background. I know that he should understand I'm not converting to anything. I am who I am. So, but I want us to have a good time. Okay. So anyway, and I want to make it very clear. Okay. I understand maybe the Mormons were getting together and talking about all this. I don't want to worry about you ever again. Ever. Okay. Because maybe what you normalize is actually terrorism to other people. Okay. And you guys must be talking about me and Putin. Okay. You guys are talking about me and Putin and what Putin's doing. And you guys are interested in my story. And I was thinking about some of the Mormon women that might be going into the congregation. I don't have anything against them. You know what I mean? It's like if I met a Mormon person, we start talking, I'm not going to mistreat them. I have no interest in mistreating anybody. I will not mistreat you. I'm just saying is stay out of my business. That's all you need to do. Mind your own business. Focus on your stuff. There's all kinds of fun things you can do at church. Like you could sit here and make baskets. You could talk about, home decor. You must be talking about my father's apparition and my son. And what else? That's what you guys are talking about. And something about, yeah, and my work. And okay, is that it? That's good. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Okay. So I'm talking about bringing in the new world order. Okay. And the new world order is like something that you've never seen before. Basically, it's like returning to Eden, and that's what I'm interested in doing. That means that I'm making an effort for people to understand that they do not have to sit here and act like religion is the law to let this stuff ruin their life. Okay. It ruins people's lives. The Mormon church ruined my life. Okay. All those little Palladian kids and my brother, that combination was just absolutely toxic. Okay. But anyway, and I don't understand. Maybe, okay, I remember the name of that movie. It's called Reefer Madness. Okay. This came out in the 1930s, and it was like an exaggeration of what marijuana was about. If you guys ever get a chance to watch it, I saw it one time, okay, and I might have even seen it when it first came out when I was CB Braganza, but basically a propaganda film on marijuana, and the exaggerations is funny. So if you have a chance to watch Reefer Madness one day, go ahead and take a look at it because it's actually pretty funny. Okay, and I think a lot of people their intentions are good because what people fear is they fear addiction. They fear like becoming a strung out junkie. They fear becoming something like that. You will only become that way if something in your life makes you that way. And oftentimes people develop what I call like a fiend type addiction is when there's some sort of discontentment in their life. Okay, so the goal in life is to have satisfaction, personal satisfaction. And yes, that is the only way you're going to be happy, or somebody who does not covet. Okay. And so something about the competition and people being interested in my story, and something about, yes, I am a woman, a single and successful woman. And part of my story is the fact that I was designed a woman on purpose. So this is all very relevant. It's all very relevant. Okay. So do not try to tamper with the story. It is what it is. Okay. This is a remarkable story, and it is what it is. Okay. And the cool part is that I get to hang out with Vladimir Putin, who also is a burden baby. Okay. So it's cool. And yes, I am responsible. And of course, I care about my projects. Okay. What bothered me a lot at Murray Family Farms is when people would take credit for my work. I don't like that. I don't like that. And it's not about being selfish. It's about, okay, I need to be recognized as somebody who knows how to do their job. And I'll be darned if somebody's going to be like, oh yeah, I came up with this idea, and they're going to end up getting promoted and I'm not. That's not going to, just not going to work. Okay. So like I said, if Vladimir Putin and I want to do something together, like as a, what do you call it? A collaboration type thing, he and I will figure the details out on that. He and I will do it. Just he and I will do it. No one else will. Just, yeah. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.